Michael Sheridan here, and welcome again to the show where I interpret your dreams. Thanks again to everybody who has sent in dreams. Please keep sending them, as the show wouldn't be possible without them. Email your dreams or questions to radioshow@dream-analysis.com or text them from your smartphone to 206-708-7254. If you want to come on the air, phone the station on 425-373-5527. That's 425-373-5527. You can find all these details on my website at dream-analysis.com, /KKNW. Today I want to talk about the subconscious and read a newsletter article I wrote about it entitled The Power of Your Subconscious, Using Dreams to Help Change Your Reality. I find it interesting to look at the diversity of terminology in channeled messages from evolved souls who have taken on the task of helping us as humans to free our minds. Although each is tailored to people with certain mindsets, there is never a contradiction in the fundamental message between any of the sources. All focus on the power of your mind and state unequivocally that you create your reality. The truth is simple, but not necessarily simple to accept. I have met many people who, due to pain, find that truth abhorrent. They reject it due to their experience. My childhood was a living hell, or I was abused for years, or I lost my baby. Why would I create that? There are always cases where you can understand the difficulty a person could have accepting this simple truth. But there is no difference in the cosmic governance between people who are happy in life and people who are not, people who have suffered terribly and people who have not. A more common rejection of the truth that each of us creates our reality is with the statement, "What about the dying babies in Africa?" It's amazing how many times I've been asked that one. This is a strongly emotive subject, but does not negate the truth. Rather, it points back to the questioner. The world mirrors back to each of us our vibrational level. Imagine a room full of tuning forks. If you strike one so it vibrates, all tuning forks tuned to the same frequency begin to vibrate in harmony with it. Others are unaffected. World events can only strike a chord with you if you are tuned to their frequency. If you find yourself repeatedly drawn to real events or fiction depicting people who are victimized, that is where your vibration is. There is always a reason, and the most common one is that you yourself were victimized. When external events pull on the strings of your internal pain, it shows that you have work to do on yourself. Many of us use the plight of others as the reason for not advancing ourselves. Fortunately, we only apply these breaks for a period of time. That period is usually around 15 years or more. When you have overcome your internal pain, you can choose where to focus your attention rather than have it grabbed by external events. Even now, you are probably still stuck on the question of the dying babies in Africa, and that's understandable. It brings up emotions that can make it difficult to ignore the subject, and thus it clouds your thoughts and actions on it and other things. I deliberately raised it to illustrate this single point. So too do past events in your own life. They bring up emotions with which we build a prison cell in our minds. From within our cell, we refuse to allow freedom of thought and thus affect the reality we create. The limitation we place on ourselves can be because of something we suffered or something we perpetrated. However, our life is designed to have bumps on the road that alert us to our limitations so that we can later free ourselves and change the reality we create. My introduction kind of took off on its own, but here's the newsletter article. The Power of Your Subconscious, Using Dreams to Help Change Your Reality. Your thoughts create your reality. It's a fact. They create your reality through impressions onto your subconscious mind, which is the link between you and the infinite intelligence that manifests your reality. Your subconscious mind is a living storehouse with layers of conditioning, including fears. Much of this conditioning originates in events and times far below your conscious awareness. That doesn't matter. Like a faithful dog that carries out his master's wishes, your subconscious mind will continue to create your reality based on the instructions and conditioning it has been given. If carrying out these instructions brings you ill health and misery, that is of no importance to your subconscious mind. It merely creates your reality based on the input, your input. It may seem like madness, but remember that the conditioning you pick up in childhood is by design, and mirrors your limitations on the spirit plane. Your purpose in coming here is to overcome these limitations. The conditioning you pick up plays like a tape on an endless loop in your subconscious mind, and with those instructions, your subconscious knows the reality to create. The subconscious never sleeps and trumps any fleeting thoughts in your conscious mind in creating your reality. In this way, even in the density of the earth plane, you manifest the reality you need in order to face your limiting beliefs and thus grow through eliminating them. Right now, you can attract into your life everything you want, whether it is fame, fortune, love, health, happiness, or success. You can also attract into your life lack of recognition, poverty, loneliness, ill health, misery, and failure. What you attract is fully within your control. You are never a victim of chance. How to attract what you want with your thoughts is the subject of many excellent books such as Think and Grow Rich. There are many outstanding courses that teach you practical tools for creating the reality you desire through focusing your thoughts and mind, such as the Silva Method. My preference is for the original, more comprehensive course. This knowledge is certainly not new and definitely not secret. But a note of caution, just as with dream interpretation, there are some misguided books on the subject, so don't swallow what you're fed blindly, including what you hear here. You may have a conscious plan of what you want, but since your subconscious mind is the real architect, how do you know what you're going to create? Better yet, how can you program your subconscious to create what you want? This is where dreams come in. It will come as no surprise that dreams ask you to clear conditioning that is detrimental to your well-being and blocks your success. They show the age you picked up specific conditioning and how it affects you today. They also show you who it is connected with, so you have everything you need to work on changing it. Terry asked for a dream that would reveal the source of her limitations. What follows is part of her dream in her own words. I slip into my friend's house unnoticed. I think I can find the answers I'm looking for by going to a back bedroom. When I get to the bedroom, I decide to try on some clothes. I'm in a state of undress when I hear the voice of a man and I realize he's heading towards this extra bedroom to put away something. I'm suddenly embarrassed to be discovered in her house, especially since I am still undressed, and I'm ashamed that I never asked her permission to be there. So I try to hide under an orange blanket, but he sees me right away. He thinks I am one of her grandchildren hiding under a blanket. I have to reveal myself, and I try to explain that I was just using the bedroom to try on some different clothes. He says that I'd better get dressed, and then he leaves the room. I have a hard time finding my own things, and I'm feeling a little panicked. Finally, I'm able to get dressed again, and I sheepishly go out to the living room to apologize. This dream tells Terry she will find the answers, as it's said directly in the dream, by looking back to when she was in the womb, which is indicated by the back bedroom. She must clear the conditioning she picked up there, indicated by undressing and having to reveal herself. The conditioning is connected with her father, which we are told by their man being prominent in the dream, and shows up today as a feeling she somehow needs permission, being overly apologetic and sheepish, and having a sense of panic where there should be none, hiding who she is and holding back on sharing her feelings with others. The above are all words taken directly from her account of the dream. The orange colour of the blanket also links her weight problem with the issues around her father. Terry's solution to dealing with these issues is to cut the ties with her father. There are many effective therapies, but cutting the ties works very well with issues you have no conscious memory of. It is a technique that instructs the subconscious, using dream-like symbols, to release the conditioning and fears associated with the individual with whom ties are being cut. In reality, after 9 years of trying to conceive, Terry's mother was elated to discover she was pregnant. Her father's reaction was to accuse her mother of infidelity, and he refused to believe he was her father. Clearly, the dream brings the focus to the correct point in her life. In other parts that are not shown here, the dream promises that dealing with these issues will springboard her spiritual leadership ability into a new dimension of success. Clear encouragement for her to put in the work to eliminate these issues. Cutting the ties is described in detail on my website. The therapy is excellent, extremely effective at removing the conditioning pointed out by Terry's dream. That conditioning is the foundation on which her issues of not feeling worthy of the space she occupies is built. By removing the foundation, everything built on top of it becomes unstable and is easier to tear down. Her apologetic nature, lack of confidence, sheepishness, and embarrassment when sharing her feelings will disappear. They have no choice but to. The subconscious does resist, but it does not question. Through the therapy, it will purge the stored conditioning. Once out of the way, new positive traits are revealed. The evidence of new positive traits is generally how we perceive growth, but it is elimination of the conditioning that obscures them that is the real growth. The positive traits are already there, but are either fully or partially masked by childhood conditioning. Once purged of conditioning, Terry's newly trained subconscious will create a different reality, far more welcome than her present one. Using your dreams, you can discover conditioning and purge it from your subconscious. You are then freed from the harsh reality that your conditioning creates. You are also free to impress on your subconscious new thoughts that will shape reality and fulfill your desires for health, happiness, success, love, and more. Okay, so before I look at some of the dreams, I have somebody on the phone. We have Jerry Lynn. So hello, Jerry Lynn. How are you?
Hello, Michael. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Very good. And I have to tell people that you emailed me this morning with your dream and said, I'll only call if you know what the dream is about. You're very kind. You're very kind to do that. But sometimes impromptu, your head on the chopping block is quite often an impetus to get something right. But I also have to say you've done my course, so
yes, I have.
So that's great. In fact, you've done it twice.
Yes.
And maybe I'll come back to at the end of your dream. So please tell us what your dream is.
Okay. I call my dream the flying class. Okay, so I'm flying low over the rooftops of the city, and I know how to fly, and I know I must teach others to fly. So next I find myself in a group of young adults showing them how easy it is to fly. Then we go to a young lady's house with a bunch of us, and we're trying to recruit her to learn the flying lessons. And she starts yelling and waving her arms around about how crazy we are and what is she supposed to do, just flap her arms and fly. And instead of running away, when somebody yells at you, I pin her arms down in a big hug, and I say yes, and we both start crying. And then the next thing I find, I am climbing down the outside of what I want to call a building, but it was like an open-air building. It was just had like something you'd find like an observation deck out in the woods with ropes and logs for the what do I want to say, like the skeleton of the building.
Uh-huh.
And I'm climbing down. It seems to be very easily to climb down. I have no problem whatsoever. But when I get to the second floor, I stop, and I hear the police have arrived, and they're shouting, and they've come to arrest my recruits. They're on the bottom floor. So I let go of the rope, and I fly to the nearest building's rooftop. And I can see one young man has escaped by flying, only he's having troubles, and he keeps crashing into things. Somehow, telepathically, I know I tell him to meet me on a certain rooftop, and as I approach the destination we're supposed to meet at, and I'm flying, I can see him in the distance as he's trying to come here. He's kind of hopping, flying, keeps bumping into objects. But I'm so proud of him that he hasn't given up. And that's when I wake up.
Okay, perfect. As with any dream, when you look at the very first part, you say that you're flying over rooftops of a city. Mm-hmm. You know you can fly and that you must teach others. Yes. That first part of the dream is all you would ever need to look at. But we will look at the rest.
Oh, really?
Because it's always interesting. Because it tells us everything. It tells us that you have the ability to project your mind, and that you're also to teach other people how to do this. Now, I know that part is new for you. But certainly you already know that you have an ability to project your mind, and I can reveal that you're in demand from people to do absent healing, which is an ability that comes with having this strong mind. And even interestingly, later on in the dream, you say, somehow telepathically, I tell him to meet me. But that's what flying in a dream is about. It's about projecting your mind, being telepathic, being able to... I mean, that's what telepathy is. So, you're even in the dream, you use the word for what it symbolizes.
Yes, okay.
So it's like as if, for the way you can heal somebody else, we know for a fact, science has even found the nerve endings that show how our brains affect our health, and so it's like how your thoughts affect your health. If you have your ability with a very strong mind, you can project yours onto other people, and your thoughts can then in turn rearrange their thinking and affect their health, and that's how it works. But I've met many people with this ability, and for you, it just sort of switched on.
Yes.
And your biggest difficulty was trying to figure out how to use it when really you didn't even need to figure that out because it was working for you. And you were finding that when you did it for people, they were having terrific results. You were having terrific results. And you were also getting messages that were able to explain to people why they got the physical issues that they had and what you had to do to resolve it and what they needed to do to keep it resolved. So it was a very complete thing to suddenly discover you have, and very liberating, I'm sure, for you to discover.
Yeah.
And
very liberating.
So it's great. So this dream is saying that this is what you need to get back into, because I know that you decided to park this for a while, having used it, and then again recently it must be coming up again for you to say, okay, maybe I should start using this again.
I should start using it more. Yes,
okay, so that's what this dream is about. So you're trying to encourage these young adults to show them how easy it is to fly, and that's you helping people. And also dealing with the aspects of yourself, the renegade aspects of yourself that are saying, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And the real issue here is with the police. You say, I know the police have arrived to arrest the group of my recruits.
Of my recruits, yes.
Yeah, so the police here, normally I always say police represent guides in dreams, but they don't in this dream. They represent authorities. And it shows you questioning your ability because this guy, although he's trying to do it, he's bumping into things and he's not really sure. So you're questioning your ability and your authority with this ability.
Yes.
And that's all it is. I mean, you already know you're questioning. I presume you know you're questioning.
Yes,
that.
I do know I'm questioning.
But it's okay, because in this dream we have both you, the total expert, because you're teaching the others, and you, the person who doesn't think that you've mastered the skill yet. So it shows the dichotomy. And
yes.
So really what you need to do is just look at the first bit that says, you know you can do it, and then you must teach others. So teaching others, how are you going to do that? I don't know. That's interesting.
I don't either.
And that's new. But anyway, it's a really good dream. I mean, there's other things in there. You say he doesn't give up despite bumping his head.
Right.
He keeps persevering. So that's really the message, to persevere, don't give up. And also hugging the woman at the start of the dream, and she cries. That shows it also works for emotional healing. But also it works for you, because it helps heal you emotionally from something at age 2. I think you say it was a second story. I'm not sure. But we have stories when we see a building in our dreams, and we see stories. The story we're on represents a particular age, and it usually is going to represent the year. The third story will be the year 3 or age 3, but it can be 3 months, it could be 2 months. It's never exact. But okay, so there's nothing new in the dream. I don't think there's any surprise to you in it. But I because you called and because you've done the course, is it okay for me to share that when you did the course first, and this is true for anybody, I suppose, that would do it, you're not sure whether to believe that your dreams have the answers that you need, and so you're sort of listening skeptically.
Yes.
But I can definitely say from the first dreams you submitted to me, that we looked at on the course, and then the second course that you did, it was like two different people. The person who was submitting the dreams and the character revealed within the dreams were different ends of the spectrum. Yeah. And that.
Yeah. I guess I could say the very first time I took it, I was kind of discouraged because my dreams, I didn't feel like they were telling me something significant. They were more about, my health and how, what I want to say, mixed up my mind was, and that I was just kind of in a turmoil all the time, and I needed to get myself together, and I didn't want to hear that.
You and everybody else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you did it. And quite often, it's not always hard work, because we've already had experiences in our lives, and sometimes it's really just having a holistic view of things and realizing that we need to let go of something rather than
Right.
picking at a scabby wound. And so the awareness that we are more than what we previously thought is quite often enough of a springboard to start changing our lives. But
Yeah.
the second time when you did the course, your dreams were all spiritual in nature, talking about your gifts
Yes.
and talking about like this amazing reveal, like the whole facade that is life, which is the physical world, was
Mm-hmm.
removed in one of your dreams. And there was then no longer any separation between the physical world and the other side.
Yeah.
The other side being where we come from, the spirit world, etc.
Right.
And that was really interesting. And at that point, it was like you could have sat and taught the class. You know, we would have all just listened to what you were talking about. But it is quite intriguing, and it's interesting to say that this is only over the period of 1 year
Right.
that this all changed. And
Yeah.
you, I'm putting words in your mouth now, but
Okay.
you have said that since doing all that, you are happy in life, whereas you hadn't been happy. You hadn't had an
Right.
inner happiness for many years.
For many years. Right. And the energy inside of me just really has completely changed. I know that I did the work for cutting the ties on my father. That was a huge change. And then I had the dream where my mother came and cut the ties for me. Remember that one?
Yes.
That was pretty cool. So I didn't have to cut the ties with my mother. She came and did it for me. But, yeah, the second time I took the course with you, my dreams were completely different. And it was almost like, wow, what happened? It was like, what happened to the Jerry Lynn that I used to know? So it was hard for me to kind of believe for a while. But it's good. I'm getting used to it.
Yes, yeah. And I have to say, I've used I've called on your skills for working on physical issues, and I can attest to them. Absolutely fantastic. So,
Yeah.
so thanks for calling, and thanks for sharing your experience.
We really appreciate you and your service that you give to the community. So we'll just keep working on it, and hopefully it'll keep on growing. Okay?
Thanks, Jerry Lynn.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so now let's look at some of the dreams. I have one here. It says falling from the spaceship to Earth, and I picked two dreams that have this similar theme. And it's interesting because this movement from a high location, particularly a spaceship or the heavens, let's say, to Earth, is about being born. But so the first part of the dream, and in many dreams, is about before you're born, before your physical existence, physical incarnation began. And I don't always point it out in dreams that's what some of the symbols represent. But here it's just such an obvious one because you're coming from the heavens down to Earth. But let's have a look at the dream. I'm in a spaceship high above Earth where I'm going. I get strapped into a chair that hangs outside of the spaceship above the Earth. There's a man on my right and a woman on my left. The three of us hang outside the spaceship looking at the Earth for a few minutes. It's a beautiful view of the planet. There's a kind of membrane between us and the Earth that we will have to pass through. We are taken back up into the spaceship for the last preparations. My sister and her two kids are in the spaceship also, but they will be coming to Earth later. Now we are ready to go. The three of us, the man, the woman and I, are back in the chairs that hang below the spaceship. I have a cast iron pan with water in it that I'm carrying with me. I'm a bit concerned that the cast iron pan will hit me in the face when we pass through the membrane. The spaceship drops us and we are free falling towards Earth. The planet is stunningly beautiful, rich greens and blues. The colours are more intense after we pass through the membrane. I spill a little of the water but manage to hang onto the pan. We're falling towards Earth. I think about how absolutely beautiful it is and how I should just relax and enjoy this ride. Okay, this is okay. I've already said it's a great dream because it shows such an holistic view of your life. You know where it originated from, where you are now, and quite often this awareness triggers positive life changes, including health changes, and this happens in physical life too. Because it restores balance, because it gives us context to things. The main message is to relax and enjoy the ride. You're here as part of a group bringing spiritual wisdom and you're already are or will be aware of the others in your group, because there's three people that are coming down to the earth plane together. What's also interesting here is you don't just get in the chairs and drop down. There's a practice. You get into the chairs, get back up, and then get into the chairs and come down. And this is actually very accurate. We don't just come here initially. We actually can enter the fetus in the womb, exit it, enter it, exit, and do it a number of times. And it's all in preparation and getting used to the density of this plane. So it's quite interesting to see that in your dream. So what else is in the dream? Your sister. Okay, you say your sister is going to come later, and you say my sister in a note. You say my sister is younger. So that's even accurate too. She comes after you to the earth plane. And you say the pan of water reminds me of the story of Potter. Potter is born with a little green cloak, holding a little clay ball of water. No one else can see his gifts, so the midwife hides them away. When he gets older, he goes in search of his gifts and learns how to use them to make rain for his community. Now, Potter has a clay ball, but you have a pan. So the rest is okay. The rest is the same. You've come here with gifts, and you are now discovering your gifts. I know from other dreams you're already aware of what they are. And some of the water spills. So part of your concern is, what if I've, lost some of my ability by not being protective enough? And the answer is you can't. You can't. So there's never anything to worry about. So why do you dream of a pan instead of the clay? And what's interesting here is you're afraid the pan will hit you in the face. So the pan represents your pancreas, and it hitting you in the face is saying something connected with your pancreas can affect or cause blemishes on the skin of your face, as would indeed happen if you did get hit in the face. So I phoned you before going on air to ask about that, and you said that you're taking pancreatin, which is digestive enzymes to help you with digestion, which is one of the things our pancreas does. It doesn't just do insulin. So that's great. You've already taken it on board, already working on it, so that's fine. But it's cool that it's there in the dream. Okay, I'm not going to get to any other dreams. We're going to finish okay today. So I just want to say again, East West Bookshop on January 17th, Dream Course in Seattle on 24th and 25th of January, and an online Dream Course anywhere you want to be on February 1st, 2015. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, and see you next week.